Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, hello and welcome to Overwatch 2 here at NECC. My name is Warren Jungle God Hammond, and tonight, joined on the mic by Soev Danam. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Jungle God, it's been a great night of just
Right?
Overwatch. I mean, if you look at these,
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been paying attention, these
Oh,
five
yeah.
mappers have just been everywhere, and it's just been incredible to watch. I mean, even going into tonight, we're leading into the playoffs, we're leading into finals, right? These are the most important matches right now. But just the fact that every single one before us, we're probably, I hate to jinx it because I know they did just before us, but we're probably gonna have another five mapper given these two teams. Because WCU Black and Grays Harbor, the Chokers, they are both really good. It's the 2 and 3rd seed. They're both sitting at a 7-2 record from the season, and they've made it this far. The winner is going to go on to play in the finals. So I have to imagine both these teams are just ready to keep going.
Oh, yeah, as am I. I mean, we've seen both of these teams on broadcast before, and I love what I have seen out of each of them during this entire season, right? So I'm expecting, like you said, another map 5. Don't want to jinx it, we're going to try, though. We're going to call it out. We're going to see if it happens regardless. But, that's what I'm hoping for tonight, and these two teams are definitely ones that can deliver.
So the only thing that gives me a little bit of concern here, Juggle, is that the last time these two teams saw each other, it was a 3-0 victory for WCU Black. And
right.
I might be a little bit hesitant to call that that's going to happen again. But I think that if history repeats, I would be a little bit shocked as effective. You can see the 3-0s in the way beginning. But now that we're here towards the finals and coming up towards NEU Blue, it's going to come down to kind of whoever really just wants it more and whoever really prepared better at this point. There's just kind of, this is it. This is all the last moment before it's all on the line. There's one more game left. And in Emergence, like, this is probably the best it's going to get, short of, I don't know, something bringing us to extra draws that there's no way to really do.
Right, exactly. It's not as likely as it once was. I mean, there's still the off chance that we can see a draw somewhere, but don't think that's going to be in the cards for us tonight. Let's take a quick look at the starting roster here for WCU Black. That is Western Colorado University, from back in my backyard over here. Actually, a little across the mountains. But we have, to start off, Toasted Tofu, Majarshian, Mr. Mango, Bo Zero, and Gummy Bear. And a wide range of classes there as well. We got a couple freshmen, a couple sophomores, and some juniors.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, it's a pretty fresh class over here. Crunchy Leaf, Tobias Max, Zabs, Jarlater, and Reyes, all just pretty younger talent. And I think that's a good sign going into this for the Chokers, right? Like, they're a fresher team. There's still a lot of growing to do. So down the line, even if they don't make it to this finals, the Chokers still have a lot to play for here, because coming in as a fresh team with a lot of freshmen, sophomores, works to be here. We are getting the rest of this in, so we've got a couple bands coming in down the line. We're waiting for the first pick on that map. But, I mean, going into this, like you said, there's a lot of varied, and I think those kinds of differences across both these teams really do work. So maybe it'll be a question down the line of, is there something to older talent or more refined talent versus fresher faces? Maybe we'll finally get that answer, because I've been kind of keeping an eye on this all season, and I can't really say anything. So it's just going to be really tough going into this to really predict much of anything.
Yeah, it is. I mean, one thing I think we can say, if we do see WCU Black looking dominant right off the bat, then maybe we will be headed for that 3-0 that we saw earlier in the season, back in week number 4. But a lot of times when you take an L like that and you're such a dominant team and you're such a good team, you've got the good mental to be able to go in, look at those VODs, study them, figure out what you did wrong, right? And see if maybe you can find a couple of weaknesses also that you can exploit on the other side. So, Grays Harbor's Chokers, they're a fantastic team. I know that they can do that, right? I know they can follow that whole process. So, I'm excited to see how they have adapted, right? And what they're going to look like, especially on this first map.
Yeah, like you said, especially given that it was a 3-0, right? Like, that was it's a pretty rough beating. You have plenty to look at, because that obviously means that you have 3 whole maps where you can kind of look and go, well, some things went wrong, and this obviously kept us going, so we're going to we have to, break this down. Not to mention you have the games from earlier in the playoffs that you can check in on too. So as there, I hope, and I'm sure they did the research, right? Like you said, they had to have. It's too late in this point to not, to just kind of roll out of bed and just try to So I have to imagine the work was done here.
Yeah, it certainly was. These are two fantastic squads, right? You don't sport a record like either of them do without knowing,
Yeah.
how to do your homework, really.
Yeah.
Break it down that way if you like. So, let's talk about real quick though some of the maps that have been banned so far, right? Because I think this could also tell us a little bit about what these teams are anticipating, maybe what they would like to do. First off, Grace Harbor has banned the trio of Kings Row, Route 66, and Lijiang Tower. Banning both Kings Row and Lijiang Tower right off the bat, to me, says they're looking to catch WC off guard on a map that maybe they prepared for less, right? Because those are the two maps, right? Those are the two collegiate Overwatch maps.
Yeah.
So they've said, no, we're not seeing them tonight, right? We don't want to give WCU that opportunity.
Yeah, again, we were talking about, did this team do their homework? I think they did, because there is something to be had for just using that strategic pick of bans that you get. Taking away some of those obvious choices, those scrims maps that people pick all the time, when you look at what are people most likely to play or what are most likely to practice, I mean, those make sense to me. On the other side, WCU has decided to ban out Hollywood and Gibraltar so far, and those maps probably wouldn't, those tell me that they kind of don't want to play high ground, right? Those tell me that those maps really, those maps really favor some sort of a Winston or a Diva.
Yeah.
And given the meta we've really been seeing, that tells me they're trying to shy away from that. They're trying not to let that happen. So given that and kind of reading these situations, I'm kind of expecting to see the Hog variants with this Reaper and Sojourn that's been going around a little bit more, if I had to guess. And WCU has finally picked Ilios after all that. And that checks too. Of all the places,
actually,
yeah. Of all the places you can go, Ilios is the one where you don't really need to contest so much of a high ground. You do have some aerial support you can get, but a lot of that can just kind of be ignored, especially if there's a Pharah or an Echo in the air. So you can kind of get away with that. So I think WCU really is going to plan to try to avoid these kinds of Winston rushes, those kinds of dive-based comps that can really get in your way. That's just based on what we're kind of seeing from these overall picks.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And on the flip side of it, if Grace Harbor, they want to strike back later on in this series with a control point map, then Oasis and Busan are looking great for both of them, right? I think they would probably avoid Nepal. That would probably be where WCU would like to go if they end up having to pick a control map in the future, right? But I think all of this tracks, right? We're seeing a team in WCU that does want to do the brawl, and Grace Harbor is aware of it, so they're trying to nix every single opportunity they can get for that.
Yeah, that reads to me that this is a team that has done their homework, and that also reads to me that we are in for some good games, and you can kind of see it here as we're looking through it. Maybe not exactly what we're looking for, but WCU they're kind of favoring that still kind of a dive-ish comp. Genji did get hit really hard recently, so I don't know if that will stick. But on the other side, I hesitate to talk about that because the pharmacy with Orion is not really that common. That's such an interesting setup that I don't. If they come out the gate, we'll never know. We'll never know, Juggle. We'll never know if they're going to actually roll out the gate on that.
The tension. We have no idea.
I'm so scared. I don't know because a lot of that comp really just strives to me as it's playing very isolated. You have the pharmacy probably staying in the sky. The Hanzo is just going to sit back and rain in. And then it just reads the Reinhardt and the Baptiste, which I guess works together because you only have to pair. You just buddy system up. But I don't really know that you're going to get a lot accomplished other than just the ability to kind of maybe focus in on what the Reinhardt gets. But there's no gap close. So
exactly. To me, it's. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I say so. Yeah, it's very interesting. I have to assume maybe we'll pick to Lucio instead there. But it's really it's going to be really interesting to see if that sticks from the Chokers, because that is a unique comp that might get them some surprise value.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the other things that I think, maybe Grace Harbor, one of the things that you do get with the Baptiste, and you do get the Rhine, right, is point presence, right?
Yeah.
Nowhere else do you really have that, right, on either side of the equation, right? But the question is, how important is that actually going to be, right? If you're just playing for point presence, well, what's the other value you're getting, right? You want to get more out of your composition. So, in addition, I think this is odd because Grace Harbor was the team that, out the gates, right, looking at their map bans, it looked like they were the ones who would maybe favor the dive compositions, right? Expecting WCU Black to be looking for these brawl, but they flipped, right? They've turned this on their head. They have usurped our expectations here, Zoav.
Yeah, and that tells me we're in for quite a set of games ahead, because they did walk out on it. So I'm going to be very curious to see where this dive goes, because there's a lot of isolated targets playing separate on Crays Harbor. So just spotting out the one target that really can get focused out for WCU Black will open this up.
Yeah, and I think that target is most likely going to be Tobias or Rias. We already see Tobias going down to about half health, so WCU Black certainly aware. But Tobias and Jarlator, the DPS duo, able to strike first, taking down 2 members immediately. This fight is over in favor of Crays Harbor.
Yeah, the one thing that comp does enable you to do is it will keep you constantly moving, right? And in a way, the Reinhardt will help to create a bit of that chaos that you can capitalize in. The Pharah isn't necessarily going to be your primary focus when there's a Reinhardt swinging in your face. And again, look at how quick Tobias already has that Dragon Strike. That's already huge and online, and not even 20% of this point unlocked, Juggle. So they are sitting good to continue this hold.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are. This is a fantastic start for Crays Harbor Jokers. And you know what? So far it looks as if their research, their planning, what they've done over these past few weeks has really paid off. They've got a very dominant position right here. WCU Black having a hard time pushing forward. In fact, Slumped goes down to just a sliver of health. Tobias takes a little damage there, but we're at 40%, and another pick from Tobias on the Hanzo, taking out Mango. That's another fight won for Crays.
Yeah, and Barrage too, just to throw it in, they are ready to close this out and just continue to hold this as it climbs to 50%. Wow. I mean, the Dragon Strike was probably a bit unnecessary there, but, you know, fine to throw in. So, yeah, I mean, the Soldier came in to try to help put some pressure down, but it really hasn't been enough. The double hit scan really hasn't been able to keep anything, any pressure on the Sky so far, and Bo will fall very, very low there. Get healed up and going into this, but they have to move and they have to take this point pressure now, Juggle. Otherwise, they don't have anything, but both of those support ultimates are going to be a heck of a thing to go through.
Oh, they absolutely are, but we've got a trade on board. 1 TBS down per each side now, but crucially, Crunchy Leaf on the Mercy will be able to get the res. And in the meantime, once again, Mr. Mango has fallen. WC Black has to reset now if they hope to have another chance at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Crays Harbor is 3 for 3 on opening picks here. I don't know if WCU wasn't expecting this comp or just doesn't know how to deal with it, but yeah, I don't even think they're going to be able to touch a time Juggle.
No, it's going to be up to Toasted Tofu. Maybe actually Boo going to get there, but no, they were sniped at the last moment. This was the Tobias show. Tobias has made a statement here tonight, Zoav.
Absolutely. I mean, Tobias had at least 2 of those opening picks on both of those fights. Just, wow. Just absolutely refusing to let that be anything more than just what they wanted it to be. So whether they'll stick on well, though, is going to be a question mark. There's not as great of sightlines for the Hanzo, but I mean, when you're playing as well as Tobias has been, I don't think you need to worry about that. The support from Crunchy Leaf and Crunchy Leaf, I got to shout that out, has been looking very good, just being able to flutter around. The teamwork is there to be able to cover for those mistakes, to cover for reses, to kind of just know where does the healing need to go and where do we need to put a little support into it. Well, the swaps are going to come through. WCU Black playing a little bit more what we expected to see, the D.Va as their preferred tank of choice. But Crays Harbor, again, comes out with, they're going to come out on this kind of oddball poke comp, and I mean, it ain't broke, so don't fix it to me, Juggle.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, you know, if we were going to see Roadhog anywhere tonight, who has been so prominent in meta, it would have been here. It would have been here, but we are not. Maybe we'll see a swap coming through, but already Zab's taking a lot of damage. I'm slumped, bro. This swap onto the Reaper really paying dividends at the moment, but Zab's able to get Boo. They will be traded out, though, so still up in the air for anybody, but with Rez coming in now for Crays Harbor, this could be a big boon for them. The point has flipped over, though, for WCU Black.
Again, you were talking about the point presence, and the Brine falling and forcing out that Rez really took away that point presence. And now here is going to be where they need to do that. The Pharah will get kind of just checked there, but managed to get the pick through it, Juggle.
Yeah, and in fact, Zabs does a beautiful job following up, seeing that the compatriot Jarlator was in trouble. They come through, charge the D.Va out of the way. That lets Jarlator be free to put this barrage and the finishing touches on that fight.
I mean, I just love the teamwork that Crays Harbor is putting out here. You can see how every single member knows exactly what the call out is made. who needs to be where and what needs to be protected. So going into this fight, I mean, we're looking very good. Shattered Dragon is on the line, plus those support ultimates will be there. WCU is just a little bit struggling to keep up. That self-destruct can be their only thing, and it's going to be really hard to get value with that, especially given the Reinhardt there, just keeping control of the space.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, you know, maybe you throw out the self-destruct. You're probably using it for a remake, right, when you get into trouble. But maybe you throw it out, maybe try and force the Rein out of his shield. But in the meantime, Jarlater finding another pick. You coming in, though, in favor of WCU Black. They were able to take an advantage on the point, take control, and that was their first fight win. They got the point first, but it was Crays who won that first fight.
Yeah, and that's really their only fight win been this set so far. So they won it without expending anything, so they'll go into this with the Kitsune Rush, full support ultimates, basically almost everything on board. The Cassidy coming in also just to try to put a little more pressure on Jarlater is a bit of a choice. I'm not sure that that's the strongest pick, but I do like it. There's a lot of burst potential there.
Wow.
So, Jarlater going down early is a bigger pick, though.
Yeah, that is huge. Boo gonna fall. The res is in, so now Crays Harbor turned this on their heads. The shatter comes through. The Death Blossom. I'm slumped, Ro. How much can you get with that, though? You're gonna get an exit pick, but you're gonna pick up a little bit more time on the point. But that's an ult I think you want for next fight.
Yeah, that was a little bit rough considering you basically used it to just try to trade for 1-to-1 and. Like you said, on the exit, not great. That was kind of your win condition going into that. You only have Sound Barrier, you'll have a High Noon and Self-Destruct. One of those has to come up big because meanwhile, Jarlater's hit several with those barrages, and I mean, Jarlater has been difficult to keep under control, so they have to keep an eye out, and WCU needs to figure out where Jarlater's coming from because you can see him dive in here.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's gonna be in moments. They're looking at the oh my gosh, barrage coming in. They are able to find one. I'm slumped, goes down. Zabs finds another. They will trade one out. But again, Crays Harbor with the lion's share of the kills. Point is flipping over, though, to WCU Black. They're going to have to come back and contest it. They're going to be able to do, but Gummy Bear gets two. They get a
two in the rematch.
This is winnable. They could come back and take this. It's just the Mercy and the Reinhardt.
That's a lot of presence, though, Juggle. They need to get that Mercy pick ASAP. They will get the flip, though, and that's the consolation for it. Man, that was way huge to turn that around from that D.Va self-destruct. So they'll buy themselves some time. This High Noon needs to come up huge for WCU Black. It needs to at least get one of the supports plus the Immortality field to get value here. There's nothing for Grey Harbor, so they need to get value out of this High Noon to keep this going.
They absolutely do. A lot of times the most you can hope for, though, is just zoning. It was Tobias Max starting to pop off again. They have found I'm slumped, bro. Jarlater able to take Boo out. There was one of their win conditions. Crunchy Leaf will get the res off what they pay for it with their leg. Garrico there to deny them more value in this fight. 95% now on the board and counting for WCU Black, but Crays takes the point. They're going to have to just scramble onto point. I'm slumped. There's barely anything they can do. They're trying desperately to get the point. They finally make it. They've put a toe on the point, but they're met with a barrage. They have to use some of their abilities to stay out of the way. Boo, though, comes in with a pick. Zabs determined to secure this for Crays Harbor to make sure they don't go down into 3-0, but Gummy Bear with a huge eat on the Dragon Strike.
Wow, that's so big. It does buy them the time, and that will buy them the point for the chokers. And I mean, the last touches will be there. I don't even think they really saw who it was, but I don't think there's anything they can do to turn it back here, Juggle. This is, but then again, they have 2 on point. Let's see how they hold out because they're getting members back.
They are getting members back, but they've also got a player out of the lobby at the moment. The staggers were strong from WCU Black, but they weren't strong enough in the end. Crays Harbor, I think, usurping expectations, coming away with this first map win. This is a sign of good Overwatch to come here, I think so, F.
I agree with you completely, and LO Gummy gets the consolation pog there.
Right.
That was a very good self-destruct plus that remake. That almost saved that. That saved that fight for them. There's nothing more to be said about that. But the sheer teamwork that came out of the chokers was just very good. Every move, every call was very clearly calculated, called out, and responded to appropriately. Even these small kind of minute things that maybe seemed accidental felt really good. Covering the barrage with that Dragon Strike was so big because that kept Jarate alive and in the fight. Just the way they were able to cover for each other and make sure everybody had exactly the resources they need tells me that this team knows exactly what they've been wanting to do and how to set up each other for to success, and that's a sign of some great teamwork and exactly why they won that first map. So, that's a great sign of games to come.
It certainly is, and I, for one, am excited to see, moving forward, what WCU Black is going to do to shut down Tobias. That's going to be their big thing moving forward. But before we see how that plays out, we are going to throw it to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon. and welcome back. We will be jumping into map number 2 very shortly, but quick recap, we just saw Ilios go the way of the Crays Harbor Chokers. Both sub-maps went their way. We only saw 2 of them, which is a bit of an upset considering WCU Black, they were able to 3-0 this team last time we saw them. So already some intrigue, if you will, so
Yeah, between the going up 1-0, which you might have, 3rd seed versus 2 seed, maybe you say that's like an underdog moment. Maybe you say the team comp that they put out there looked very odd and maybe peculiar to some. Admittingly, I was a little thrown by it, but it worked for them, and there's something to be had for comfort, right? This is a point where comfort picks can come into making a lot of difference. The higher you are, more like the better you're able to play a character, maybe better than just playing the strongest character in quotation marks sometimes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think we're seeing that comfort, like you said, really come to fruition here. We questioned the Reinhardt pick, right? Right off the bat, it just seemed odd. Reinhardt isn't in meta right now. If you're gonna go Brawl, you're gonna go another hero, right? But they made it work. And one of the great times I can remember is when on Ilios, they were able to charge forward, put a little pressure on the D.Va, keep them off of Yara later, and allow them to get those final few picks to secure that fight, right? So they're doing what they need to do. They're supporting their team. They're making space for the DPS to succeed. It's unconventional, but it is working.
It is, and that's the kind of thing they're going to have to carry in, even if it gets unconventional, because now that we've got our maps in, we've got a ban of Midtown, and WCU will pick Eichenwald. So again, we were kind
of baited us.
They baited us. We were almost looking at Perry, but unfortunately
we were.
but still, there's a lot you can do that. There's not as much of those sites that you can play those long range and those flying heroes. You can kind of play the Pharah on the capture point segment. The Hanzo kind of gets a little bit away on the castle in that streets phase, quote unquote. But overall, like, that kind of an odd comp may not be as successful here. It may force them to play something a little different. So I think if you're WCU, that might be the play, is to try to force them to play something more regulated in a lot of ways and try to force them to make errors on something that you can capitalize on, because that's kind of what they've been getting hurt by, is just not really being prepared for what was being thrown at them and then just kind of struggling in the chaos being made by the Reinhardt charges, the Pharah in the sky, the Hanzo getting a crossfire on you. And that's really what's been punishing them, is kind of the whole unit of this choker team.
You're right, and one of the things too that I would like to see coming out from WCU Black is a little bit more proactive swaps, right? Yes. We did see the Genji go over to the Reaper for Well, and that did help, right? Crays Harbor Chokers, they were caught off guard by it. The Reinhardt, his shield got chunked through on that very first approach. WCU Black was able to take control of the point, right? So these swaps are working. I would like to see more of them. I would like to see them being a little bit more proactive with that moving forward, right? Because a lot of times, it's just you got to pick the right heroes, right? This is a game about swapping at the end of the day, a lot of the time, right? And that we're not really seeing that kind of counterplay come out yet from WCU Black.
I agree with you completely. And not even just the correct counterplay, because we're seeing the things come in. We're seeing the basic ideas of there's a Pharah in the sky, we need extra hit scan power, we need some extra work there. We saw it with the 76, we saw it with the Cassidy.
Yep.
But all the resources that were never really put into them really came through. Also, it was very much just, let's just let our hit scan try to deal with the Pharah, and they're playing into this 2v1, and it just never worked out in their favor. The D.Va was never really able to capitalize on it because they were too busy trying to hold the front line, and the resources that go along with this never really came out. So with Crays Harbor defending first, I don't see actually why they wouldn't play a similar comp on this capture point. It does work better for what they want to do on this defense. Okay.
Yeah. It looks like they're gonna go with it. Yeah.
Okay. And I agree. I think that's, like, I see no reason to change that. They're very much a well-oiled machine right now, and I think that given all the things that they've seen, it is a good place to be. I don't want to speculate too much on WCU Black here, because there's, like, Bastion has gotten some. We've seen Bastion get a lot of relevant play. It's very easy just to burn down a Reinhardt shield. I don't know that they're going to stay on it, but I do think that that's reasonable. And with May now being back in the format, even just isolating and cutting off the Reinhardt can do something. So should they choose to go out on this, I don't hate it, but it does feel a little bit kind of, again, we're a little bit all over the place. I want to see if we can put these resources into a successful isolation for WCU Black to really open up a bit.
We're going to see some early aggression coming out from Gummy Bear, trying to take control of the high ground right over the choke. Gonna lead to Zabs getting isolated, but in the meantime, Mr. Mango's down. Got an immortality field now up from Rias. People falling everywhere. We do have a res back onto Zabs, but there's only one player down now for WCU Black. They've already got one tick on the board as well. This is almost a foregone conclusion. This point will very quickly go the way of WCU.
That's what we needed to see, right? We needed to see all these various characters just come out, make an isolation, and they found the Reinhardt, and the Reinhardt has no escape there. You can charge, even if you can charge away, you're not getting away necessarily fast enough, so Slumped will take a fall there, but unfortunately that's not going to be too meaningful. So now into this B point, the ultimates are slowly starting to come online. Grace Harbor not really building as effectively as they might, but there's not really much on either side. That Bastion ultimate will eventually come online first, but it's going to be hard to get real value with that. It just doesn't do a lot of damage, so finding maybe some late, maybe sending it late in the fight will work at the value they're looking for. I say that, but he goes down, Juggle.
Yeah, going down instantly. Now it's just going to be up to Boo to put forth the lion's share of the damage for this squad. Yarlater dropping down on them, looking for an opportunity, but Boo does strike back those icicles. They're deadly, so they're unexpectedly deadly.
Oh yeah, no fall off means that you can just kind of throw those things out there and just get the value you're looking for. And again, we see the DPS from Grace Harbor just continue to put in incredible work and open up fights. They'll be rewarded for that with both of their DPS ultimates. And again, I kind of expect a similar play to what we saw before, where Yarlater will go in and look for a barrage and get covered by Tobias is what I kind of expect to see, because I don't know that the Shatter is going to build just in enough time. And I don't think WCU has an answer for that if they do. So really going to have to focus up and try to find the team play on WCU to put a stop to keeping this card rolling.
And Boo's already used their wall as well, so that's a big utility that they're not going to have on point. But despite that, they're still getting some progress. Yarlater playing with fire, going to be gunned down very quickly by Slump Row. Will be traded out, but now Gummy Bear trying to push everybody off the high ground here. They've isolated Tobias Max almost. The immortality field was there. Rios able to hang on with them. The 3 ultimates coming out from them now. We got the Dragon Strike, the Shatter, the Valk. Grey Harbor's Chokers throwing almost everything they have into winning this fight.
I mean, they really felt they needed to stop it, right? And they will be rewarded for it. The late Diva pick will be a great stall too, but just kind of caught out again, just a little bit aggressive from Yarlater, put themselves in a bad position. The res wasn't really able to be there, and by the time they were considering, can we go for that, the Diva was already in their face, so great decision making from WC Blue. Unfortunately, they won't really be able to capitalize on that. They'll get punished for it, so I don't see this barrage going through a window, but they do have to keep an eye on Yarlater, and if they've been paying attention, the Chokers will have something on them. And again, Blizzard Online 2, you maybe will get one on it.
Well, I was hoping to see the Blizzard combined here with the aerial strike from Slump Bro, but instead it's going to be Yarlater and Tobias dropping in for the damage. However, it might not be enough. Both supports are down now for the Chokers. Zabs tries to charge away, but the Ice Wall and Diva say no.
Yeah, that was great. That's exactly what you wanted to make, right? Is just find a way to isolate, and good read from that, so they'll get the cart rolling. They managed to keep Blizzard, so again, if they can find something for this, it's a great target. You may just have to be happy with just the Reinhardt or just the Bastion, wherever you can, or just whatever you can kind of get value from. Picks coming in for Grace Harbor, though, means they're going to play a little bit more stagnant and just try to force a little bit out. The Sigma and the Reaper tell me they're going to try to punish this dive a little harder and punish any isolations that end up being out there. Sigma does have a little bit more stability. That's already both of those out, and Tobias picks it off.
A huge pick right off the bat. I'm Slumped going down very low. Mr. Manger unable to get the immortality field over there. Unclear if it's out of commission. No, just saving it. Is still going to be toasted. Tofu backing out with a little of their health left. They will safely exit, but that's another very quick fight win here for the Grace Harbor's Jokers.
And I mean, the adaptions that they put in
either.
Yeah, no ults. Yeah, they won that on the neutral. And these adaptions, again, WCU just doesn't seem prepared for these adaptions.
We're going to see Gummy Bear driving in, initially throwing in the self-destruct, now seeing if he can get something. Already 2 down. WCU Black, very convincing fight win here. This will secure them 3rd point.
Yep, and all it cost was a self-destruct, so again, they're happy with that. Bo's just been able to hold on to Blizzard. They haven't felt it really needed, so you know, this will be great in this smaller area of the interior of the castle.
Yeah.
But But similarly, there's both support ultimates, so whatever comes out to stop Blizzard is going to be important here for the side of the Chokers because they need to get value with both of the support ultimates and the Flux.
Rias going to go ahead and use the amplification matrix. Tobias Max finds Toasted Tofu. That's going to slow things down considerably for WCU Black. They're just going to wait and regroup here.
They did also throw in Valkyrie, which might have just been a little bit of a like a little bit of an extra oomph, and you might want that back. But you do have Flux Dragon there too, so that's a win con if you can make it work. But again, I'm waiting on both for this Blizzard. They need to put it out there at some point because you've just kind of been sitting on it, and you need to get value now.
And here it comes. We're going to see the Immortality Field now coming up from Rias, but it's not going to be even close to enough. The Blizzard freezing everyone in place. WCU Black continues to march through Eichenwald. They only have to win one more fight here, and Zabs just has the Flux.
Yeah, I mean, I also didn't even really see the Sojourn build up overclock that quickly, so that's already thrown into the amplification matrix to kick it off. This Flux needs to be huge, Juggle.
And it's going to catch 3 already. Big damage comes in. Mr. Mango there, though, with the Immortality Field. They pop the amplification matrix as well to try and keep their team up, do more damage, but the damage being done primarily that at the hands of Crays Harbor.
It did get Immortality Field out, and that was kind of the real winner in that fight, so they buy themselves a little more time. The Chokers buy themselves another win con in that Death Blossom, so the question is can they just get into the backline for it? Because WCU doesn't really have anything on board. They're kind of just playing for that self-destruct at this point. So an opening pick for WCU Black and the neutral can make this bigger. That rock comes through, doesn't catch anybody. And, I mean, this is going to be a tough push for WCU here.
Now the grasp already used as well by Zabs, but Tobias Max going to make up for all that with a pick onto Boo. Gummy Bear probably demeched here as well. They're going to, the mech's going to go away. They're going to be removed from the fight too. WCU Black, they lost that one quickly. Crays Harbor just descended on that.
I do like the disengages from WCU though, because they do realize we're man down already. Let's just regroup, get out. We're not wasting too much time. And considering you're now into a last fight territory with still not much on your side, the self-destruct has to come up with something. So breaking the Sigma's defenses is going to be huge because both those DPS ultimates, all it takes is one pick from Tobias. Like, it's opened up several of these last fights, and it's over.
WCU Black has to play this initial part very, very carefully. They're staring down the barrel of both DPS ultimates. They don't have sound barrier. Yeah, we're going to get the dragon going. I'm slumped, bro, already down. The Immortality Field nowhere to be found either. That means Boo's going to fall. Gummy Bear throws in the self-destruct. The sound barrier there from Toasted. Going to try and hold on as long as they can. The self-destruct gets 2. This is still winnable for WCU Black. Gummy Bear coming up in a huge way for the Western Colorado University squad.
And there's still a Flux out there that goes up. Sound barrier in response, Juggle. And they're still over there, but Zabs is 2.
Yes, Zabs takes out both supports. If they're going to cap this, it's going to be on the backs of the tank and DPS here. They're getting work done, though. Crunchy Leaf is down. Rias has already used the amplification matrix. Boo trying to keep some damage away from their team. Uses the wall that's going to allow the amplification matrix to expire, but the damage still coming in from Crays Harbor without any supports there to help them. That is as far as WCU Black will get on Eichenwald.
Yeah. And it was a very valiant effort, but it's really hard when Tobias just continues to crack open every single fight, just finds a value on this Hanzo. And again, there's just nothing really contesting it. You know, we were kind of talking about Yarlater early on in this Pharah, eventually moved off it. But again, the constant through all this seems to be Tobias, right? Tobias just on this Hanzo just kind of ends up going uncontested, gets an initial opening pick somehow, and the rest of the team just smells the blood in the water and continues to clean it up. So the Chokers have continued to run exactly what they've wanted to run, and WCU Black just kind of struggles. They look good. They're winning fights. They got it nearly to the end. Yeah. But they just kind of get to the moments where they don't have anything really set in their win conditions, and they kind of flounder a little bit. They kind of just struggle until, the fight's already over. They disengage. Well, did we build anything? No. Well, back to the drawing board. Let's just try and get something, and it doesn't quite come in. A yard later, moving over possibly to the Junkrat. I do think that's a strong pick here. I actually really do like that. I think if you're going to look at one of the heroes that really won from these recent updates, Junkrat is one of those heroes. But WCU Black, they're going to try to put a little more pressure from this heavy backline that the Zen Baptiste. And I do also like it, considering your DPS are kind of taking a more space and supportive role in a lot of ways, so I do think that'll help balance out. They just need to not let Yarlater get into their faces, because that's a very crunchy backline. that can be picked apart very easily.
Yeah, I worry about the head on Toasted Tofu, right? Zenyatta, as far as the supports are concerned, very, very vulnerable. But fight breaking out in spades right off the bat. We have a couple of picks in favor of WCU Black. This is a dominant-looking defense so far.
Yeah, Zabit's kind of just rushed in, and I think they got walled off there, which kind of, again, was the story of that. Just let them kind of get isolated for it. So the question is does Zabit's continue to stay on that? Because we saw the Reinhardt, and this isn't a bad space considering you see the Sigma on the other side. You might want to run that back and kind of just enable your Junkrat to get into space, so they'll take another crack at it here.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a fine option for them. They are going to be able to
Tobias
get through the wall this time, but Tobias opening things up like Tobias does. Immortality Field is gone, so Yarlayer able to strike on a Mr. Mango. Crunchy Leaf now coming under a lot of pressure. Both DPS now gone for the chokers. They do not have one tick even on the board yet. Zab's trying to do everything they can here. The advantage should be theirs, but WCU Black will hold here on first point.
Yeah, I mean, the Discord orb from the side of Toasted got a lot of value on that, and that's kind of the thing you got to be aware of. There's not really a way to get a pick aside from Tobias kind of opening this up or maybe getting a lucky grenade out there. So, again, the Grays Harbor kind of just needs Tobias, who's come up big before. Ultimates are coming online. They're waiting for just Tobias to get another pick, and they need to enable that to happen for the success here because there's several coming online. They'll speed on and take it to them, Juggle.
That they are. They're going to try and take this fight very, very quickly, but Toasted Tofu says that is fine with me. Zabs go back to spawn. Rios headed there as well, and honestly, I think the difference maker right now has been Toasted Tofu having that Discord orb up. It just makes it so difficult to approach the point.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about how Grays Harbor was kind of looking to avoid playing the dive, but this is exactly where you need the dive. You need to get under Zenyatta. You need to pressure that out because right now you're just waiting for your DPS and trying to play in this pick comp, and you're not able to get it. Toasted has been the one to open up these last several fights, and with all those ultimates on board for WCU Black, it's going to continue to be harder short of this tire or this Dragon Strike getting something.
Yeah, they're going to send the Dragon Strike through the middle. It's briefly going to separate the squad of WCU Black, but Boo going to strike back with a beautiful Blizzard. Yarlayer comes in with a 2K tire, or a little 1K tire, though not going to be enough to swing things in their favor. But, you know, Silver Lining, they got the Transcendence out. They got the Blizzard out. Those are two devastating ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you have to be aware of now, if you've been counting, is that there is a Flux plus Overclock. So as long as the shots are online there, they should be okay, because Grays Harbor are going to make those swaps. They're going to bring back the Pharmacy, and I think this needed to become, I think this needed to be moment one. I think you needed this Crossfire if you weren't going to die. This Crossfire needed to be coming in way faster.
Yeah, but Boo already going to take out Rios. There goes the lion's share of the healings now for Grays Harbor Chokers. I'm slumped, finding huge value with the Overclock. They don't even need the Rabbinic Flux to click heads right here. Gummy Bear will fall, though, but it's not going to be enough. Tobias able to pick up two. If they can get the respawns back quick enough, Grays Harbor Chokers might have a shot at this one, but they've got to stay alive here.
They also need to start capping. They really don't have the presence, and I think the respawns are back in. Toasted just playing it safe, knows that now they can't play in the open like they could before, and the trades start. Time's almost up here, Juggle.
Yeah, it's now or never here for Grays Harbor. Tobias has found Boo. They're going to throw the Dragon Strike through to see if they can stall people from coming out to the point. Gummy Bear out there alone, forced to use the Gravitic Flux. Here goes the Amplification Matrix. Try to get everybody alive and do some damage as well. Zabs in with their own. It's going to be a little stronger. It's going to be a little bigger. And in the end, the Grays Harbor Chokers will cap first.
Not sure what it took to come to this conclusion, but they ended up back where they started almost. And I think they should have just started on this. I'm not sure. Like, historically, Pharah has been so important on this first capture point of Eichenwald. So I'm kind of interested as to why we didn't want to run this for the Chokers right away. But now we're in Streets phase. Now we're able to contest the high ground a little bit easier. So the pieces are there, and Tobias continues to kind of just get picks. But they really, really do need to find something onto Toasted.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be some nice damage in there from Yarlayer. Now they've got the barrage online. They find him slumped, bro, trying to flank through the building. They're caught in a terrible position. That's going to be a huge pickup. Now Yarlayer free to go. They find another pick. Rez will come in as well. So Yarlayer back in the mix. And now we see a swap coming out from I'm slumped over Over to, yeah, Sniper.
Oh, Tobias, though, hitting 2, still just looking at the Sigma's just going to let themselves out. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Slumps has just been trying to find an answer for Yarleader this whole game. We've seen pretty much every hit scan hero out of them. We've seen the Sojourn, the Soldier, Cassidy. Now we're on Ash.
Yeah.
We're just struggling. We're really kind of struggling to find the answer for WCU Black here. But I think the consistency that has come in is that Blizzard, and there it is, they need to find value with this.
They absolutely do, but already both players, all the players that have stepped onto point find their demise. It's just going to be the Ash and Sigma on point. Rios is down, but Crunchy Leaf falls as well. The point gets stepped off of, though, for a moment, and it will be capped.
So here's where it gets interesting, because Yarleader may need to give up the far. This isn't a great spot. You don't have those high grounds. Again, and again, I'm slumped. I'm slumped as I'm stumped, bro, right now, because we're going Symmetra now. We're trying to find something, and we've moved to double builders, and I don't think that's a bad play, but I do think we're kind of reaching at this point, and I don't blame them. They need to make this stop, but they're running out of answers here.
Yeah, they certainly are. I'm not sure this is exactly what they're looking for either, but they're going to give it their all. Just one fight remains. They have to be perfect from here on out. Dragon Strike thrown through. Boo gets stunned as well by an accretion. Zab's now moving around the corner, seeing if they can find an opportunity for a Gravitic Flux, especially now that the Immortality field is out and down. This is prime time for it. Amplification Matrix going to give them second thought. They're going to back up for just a moment, regroup, get some of these cooldowns back. Ooh, and they're probably just going to back it all off to pick up Tobias. No, the res comes in.
Okay, no, they have it. They still want to fight. Flux is there, but Trance is there too, Juggle.
Yeah, it is. Toasted Tofu right on the mark, exactly where they needed to be and when they needed to be there. Both support elves out for WCU.
Oh, Yarleader.
3K barrage, Gummy Bear, and Boo nowhere to be found. That will be the Crays Harbor Chokers taking another map off of WCU Black.
Yarleader coming through as the hero for that last fight. What could have been a loss there came through huge. And yeah, it's probably literally just a replay. I don't think we need to worry about sending it to a replay. This is just the replay of what happened there. Because that was 4. That was 3 there, and plus the Sigma afterwards. Yeah, that was basically a team wipe. Yep, Sigma ended up dying to themselves. I would even say the Sigma Gummy Bear probably even died realistically to the Pharah. So, you know, we've been kind of in this toss-up behind the scenes of who's really putting in a lot of the work here, and it's still hard to say because like you can't leave either of these DPS open. Yarleader will come and get you from the sky. Tobias has been getting shots and opening first bloods. It's just so hard. And again, this Western Colorado's team just doesn't really seem to be able to find the answer. And I can't blame them, not because they're a bad team, but because this is just so unorthodox, right? This isn't what you'd expect to see. No scrim would prepare you for this. So I think a break is well deserved to kind of figure out what we need to be doing if I'm them.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely gonna need to put their thinking caps on here. We did see some more swaps coming out from them. I did like that. I think they actually looked a lot better here than we saw them back on Ilya. So, you know, they're down 2 right now in the overall score line, but you can't count them out yet. Not by any stretch of the imagination, right? And maybe all it takes is a little bit of a refocusing, right? We've seen the tank for WCU Black on the Diva a lot. You know, maybe we need to see a little bit more pressure put into Yarleader right at the right time. Maybe we need to see a little bit more pressure put into the Hanzo at the right time. You know, it feels to me like the tools are there, the pieces are there for them to be able to handle this. They're just not quite doing exactly what they need to overcome this.
It seems like the communications may be a little bit off. We're trying to figure out what is the target we need to burn down and what do we need to focus. And it seems like we're getting a little bit distracted if you're WSU. We're trying to figure out where do we need to be, what do we need to be diving. And I think the other thing that's kind of the kind of secret carry that we've not really seen, if you've been watching closely, you've kind of noticed this, but Crunchy over on that Mercy has just been phenomenal, keeping the team in the fight, just turning around. Like it's very easy to just trade a 1v1 and then get the resurrection back in to really just kind of go, yeah, we're fine. Yeah, you're down a DPS and one of our carries is still up. So I think there has to be something in that said. So what do you do about that? Like you said, I think you need to be focusing down more. I think you need to be focusing whatever target you choose to be. I think you just need to kind of put the whole team behind it because that's kind of been the difference is that the Chokers have looked like a more consistent team group where WSU has moments where people look good. We saw the Bastion looked really great. We saw the Bastion get a lot of value. And the May too. We saw these DPS and these heroes get value, but there were kind of flashes in the pan overall. So going into this escort map, maybe even harder because, again, you've seen this kind of all-arounding poke comp really get a lot of value. So you need to not only make your pick value kind of work towards that, but also kind of figure out what do we need to do. And I kind of want to double back to an answer while we're waiting for this pick. But I think the Torbjorn is something that needs to be considered as a serious pick here.
I think, despite as comical as he is, he should always be a serious consideration.
Oh, yeah,
right?
of course.
Let's be honest. I mean, he brings so much to the table, not the least of which is his hammer. And the skins. You gotta love the Torb skins. Right? The Torb skins are S tier. Yeah. But more relevant though to what we're talking about here right now. Pulling out the Torb, right? You can put a little bit more pressure on the Far and Mercy, right? You make it so that there's kind of another step in the process, right? That Crays Harbor has to do, right? Yep. It's just going to kind of slow down everything for them, and that could buy enough time for WCU Black to find the picks that they're needing, right? Find the angles that they want, or to be able to put the right pressure on the right person at the right time. It slows the game down a little bit for them, gives them opportunities. We are going to be going to Circuit Royale next, so have Denim. So I think we saw Sigmas come out from both sides before. I think we're going to see it again here. And in particular, especially on that second point, my mind goes back to the Divas for WCU, right? That's an opportunity, I think, for the Diva to really shine again for the squad, and they really seem to want it to as well.
Yeah, I think that is a very good thought. I think the Diva just needs a little bit more support, be it from the longer range hit scan or something else to just kind of help complete the kills that are being made there. Because like you said, especially with the Grace Harbor Chokers attacking first, they've looked very good and they've looked very strong whenever they've been able to attack. They look like they've been, like you said, controlling the pace of the game very, very well. Again, this comp we saw in Eichenwald, it's just copy-paste. Like, there's no reason to move the Hanzo. There's no reason to move the Pharmacy. Everything that you might want to bring out on this, we're used to seeing long-range hit scans, but there's nothing that says you can't just bring this Pharah out and continue to run that, considering how much value Yarraider has gotten, and it's become very clear that that is a point they can exploit. I don't see them needing to change anything on this attack. Really, I don't.
It'll be interesting, right? Because that first point, right? There's so many long sidelines, like you said, these hit scan characters. It does favor them. So I think WCU Black might be able to put a little bit more pressure on the Pharah, right? They may be able to kind of neutralize that threat a little bit, right? Because Yarraider not going to have all of the buildings, all the nooks and crannies to kind of dive behind, right? And kind of poke their head out, launch a few rockets, go back to cover, go back to safety, right? So I do like this pick from WCU. I think that does make Yarraider's job a little bit more difficult. On the flip side, though, you're just enabling Tobias.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because, right, if you focus one, you're getting shot from the crossfire on the other. And again, Grace Harbor, there's nothing to change. They are just looking really good. Yeah. Zabbits could even, I wouldn't even hate the Reinhardt if they really wanted to.
Right,
but like you said, like the Sigma's been good. Zabbis has looked good, and that Sigma has gotten a lot of value on it. And meanwhile, on the other side of WCSU Black, all right, we're seeing a little bit more. We're going to try to match the Hanzo. We're on Kiriko Ana. I'm not sure what we're really... Are we just trying to... So we're trying to play more tempo, I guess. We're trying to just try to take members out of the fight so we can adjust the rate of play. And I don't hate that, but I still... This is kind of the one point where I'm wondering, what are we really getting out of the Kiriko? We're not running anything down necessarily at this point, so... Do we need that? Would we be better off with a Discord Orb, or we could just burn down something a lot faster? So that may be something that WCU really considers going into this once they see what's on the other side.
Oh my gosh, the Sonic Arrow lands. Tobias Max firing on full cylinders at the moment. Yarraider finishing them off. This fight over for Grace Harbor. They just disassembled WCU Black.
I mean, this has just kind of been a highlight reel in a lot of ways of Tobias just constantly letting Mr. Mango not allowed to play the game.
Yeah.
Just constantly finding Mango in the first pick from this Hanzo. I almost think you want, something, you need a shield in the way. You need to just protect Mango. Just kind of getting caught out and not really playing the angles correctly because, again, Yarraider just kind of has free reign, has the Mercy attached, and it's just been full blue beam. There's no stop.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The pressure needs to be there, but you know, one of the we were singing Crunchy Leaf's praises earlier. They've done such a great job of just staying in positions where they can't get threatened, right? The reses have been phenomenal. First off, by the way, in the meanwhile, Grays Harbor just blows through first point, right? Dragon Strike coming in as well from Tobias, but already the damage mostly done here. Gummy Bear trying to back up furiously, but they should be able to pick this off relatively easily. Crunchy Leaf in trouble, but they're getting taken care of by their Pharah.
And again, WCU Black, we just see them, you know, we've already brought in the double hit scan, we've already given up on the Ashe, we're going back to Widow, like, we're still just searching, and you can tell, like, the panic is setting in from the side of WCU Black. We're still looking for an answer, and I don't quite know that this is going to be it, and if they need to stay, they need to put something out here. There it is, though. There's Tobias out, and that is already a pick that can turn this back and hold them at B.
Yeah, that's huge. That is public enemy number one, but Yara later says, don't forget about me. They will be slept in enemy territory. Boo will finish them off. And now WCU Black has an opportunity to hold here. Grays Harbor bit off a little bit more than they could chew. They got some early value, but the tables have certainly turned.
I mean, that was a great opening pick, but there wasn't really a lot to, like, that was the first time they've really converted on it, right? They've not been able to get a first pick and then continue to win the fight. So now that there's been a moment of silence, and we'll kind of get ourselves back together here. I mean, WCU does have a nano. You'll probably commit it to the soldier just to try to get more value. Flux is up. You know, you probably might even throw all three at that. It's a little bit heavy to invest, but it is a one fight. But Zavitz has been getting value with less on their fluxes, so it's kind of what happens when these fluxes go out, because who gets more support into them and who gets the isolated picks first.
Oh, Yarlater going down immediately, though. Mr. Mango able to take them out. Crunchy Leaf drops back for the res, unable to get it, and now the Tac Visor seals the deal for WCU Black.
Yeah, we did commit exactly kind of all those ultimates like I thought we were looking for. Again, it was a little expensive, but it is a game plan that works, and it won them the fight, so... you know, going into this one, it's going to come down to Kitsune Rush to really get value. Can you, I mean, the question is, I guess it comes down to the soldier getting a lot more bullets out and really getting a lot more value out of it. I kind of almost would have rather you saved the tactical visor for this. Because Grays Harbor didn't commit, they just saved their ultimates. We've brought in the Reaper, we have 2 ultimates now, and we're ready for the next fight. So it's kind of a toss-up. The sites will help to kind of see where the threat is coming from, though. So I like that.
Yeah, and it buys them time, right? We're not going to see Grays Harbor push through until those sites are down. They have expired now, so Zab's going to try and strike with this Gravitic Flux, but getting peppered hard from Slumped Bro. Not going to be enough as Tobias Max finds their mark. Yellowgator following up. Boo gets an exit pick, but that's probably all it's going to be good for.
I mean, Toasted going down with Kitsune Rush was probably one of those things that might have made a difference here. Mango just going to try and see themselves out to safety. No. Yeah, at that point, you just get out of there. That's done. But, like, Toasted, would Kitsune Rush really have changed anything there? Maybe, but it needed to be used aggressively. And right now, Grays Harbor has been playing the aggressor the whole way through. We'll see the Reinhardt come out. And that already just gives this matchup a little bit better, because now you're playing Ryan into that. And we're on the Sombra. Juggle, it's Mystery Heroes now. We're on the Sombra. We're trying anything and everything we can just to try to crack an opening into this Grays Harbor squad.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I'm a little confused by the Sombra pick, because it's not like I feel like Grays Harbor has these huge ultimates that you want to shut down with an EMP or a hack, or could, right? That Death Blossom, it's gonna interrupt your hack, right? So yeah, I'm a little confused by this pick, but you know what? They need to try something. And if they can get an EMP off with a Gravitic Flux, they could just chunk down a ton of damage. But in the meantime, Boo has found some value. Immortality Field gone. Gummy Bear pushing forward now, chasing back Yara later. They will get an extra pick onto Rias as well. So nice hold here for WCU Black. That's going to give them a lot in the ult percentage. They needed that.
Yeah, that's a hold. That's two. You know, they still have 3 minutes to go through, but they'll take what they can get here, considering EMP's almost online. I mean, it's fine. I need to see this Kitsune Rush used efficiently, though. I need to see them throw it out early, play aggressively, and I need to see Boo not go dangerously low and fall there.
Yeah, they're going to back off. They have to use their health as well. Tobias Max able to find Mr. Mango again. That's been kind of the death now for them, and coming in a Death Blossom from Yara later will open this up again for Grays Harbor. They just have to win one more fight, and it's going to be a tough one for WCU Black.
Yeah, Tobias has gotten so much raw value with these Dragon Strikes. They'll have that online, and I don't know that there's going to be too much there. But WCU has everything on board. They just need to commit it. Is there even going to touch in time?
Yeah, they are going to have the Sombra there on point, but they're taking it out. Sombra. We do get the Kitsune rush. Boo coming in with attack visor. That's going to swiftly take care of everybody else, though. Crays Harbor doesn't even know what happened to them here. They will go back to spawn.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to see, was the Kitsune rush plus the tactical visor. It was just going to be, you're just going to get more faster kills out of that, and I do like that. It costs them pretty much everything. I guess the Sombra dying with EMP was a bit of a blessing in some way, because that's your tool to kind of win for the next fight. But again, Tobias didn't commit anything. The Grace Harbors recognized we can lose this in the neutral and be fine with that. Oh, what an early pick. That's great information. And Tobias, again, just looking for Mango, just trying to find the opening pick. And if it happens again, it's basically over here.
Right, and already put so much damage into Gummy Bear's shield as well. They're going to have a hard time staying on point. Here comes the EMP. It catches several members, but Rios does a beautiful job keeping everybody healed. In fact, they're going to strike back. The Dragon Strike lands. Tobias Max with a couple of picks. Nothing left to stop them. It will be Crays Harbor walking this one in and finishing with a little under a minute.
It's a shame that EMP caught 3, but never really had the follow-up to do anything with it. Again, there just wasn't anything with it. It was kind of just the holdover, and there wasn't even the focus fire to really get value on it, so the Chokers will just bring it home with a little under a minute, so that means they'll at least buy themselves another round if they need it. And it's going to be hard. You know, we were looking at this earlier in the week, and we were looking at this earlier, you know, considering the Grace Harbor went down and lost in week 4 versus this team 0-3, what a reversal of fortune. We were talking about how this team needed to have done their research, and they very clearly have. They're exploiting these weaknesses that WCU Black is leaving open. They can't handle the far in these open skies. Tobias just continues to take angles and find value with his Hanzo again and again. And the Reinhardt, you know, we kind of questioned at the beginning. They're making, Zabas has been making great calls as to, when do I just need to take this tank matchup? When do I need to give myself an advantage? When do I need to enable the rest of my team to support with that? So this has been a well-oiled machine out of the Chokers, and again, we're back on this comp that they've been seen for. You know, they've just been successful on here. And WCU Black, on the other hand, they've kind of landed on what they started. They kind of lasted with last time. I'm still just not really sold on it. I see there's pieces that can work together. The Sombra, like you said, is kind of an interesting choice. She did take a bit of a hit from the last couple patches. I don't know that it's enough value. And unless you can really, really get in and harass either Crunchy Leaf or Tobias, it's going to be hard for WCU to really deal with the crossfire that's put in front of them.
Yeah, now I will say, I'm Slumthrow was able to build their EMP very quickly, so I feel like they're getting pretty good value on this Sombra from a solo perspective, right? I'm not entirely sure how much synergy it provides for the team, but they are finding value. But in the meantime, Yarlater going to be able to find Mr. Mango. In the meantime, Boo strikes back. Gummy Bear will be demexed now. So Grace Harbor has a nice opportunity here. Boo gets a little too aggressive. Gonna be a hack, tries to come in for round slumped, but doesn't find anything.
You know, thought they had the value, thought they had walked past the Sigma, but there wasn't really enough picks to get the value there, so they'll continue to hold and just searching for the Sombra, just trying to make sure they don't get value, and it's just going to be another neutral, just try to push a little forward. Tobias already halfway and towards an ultimate. That purple hits too, but there's nothing there for a juggle, and that's just kind of the unfortunate play for that.
Yeah, Tobias goes down very, very low, but the healing does come in the end, and Toasted Tofu meets their demise. Hack does come in now from I'm Slumped. They are pushing forward a little bit with the cart, getting a little pressure into Yarlater as well. Both EBS Hack, I'm Slumped will, in fact, finish off Yarlater. So, WCU Black, they're picking away. They're picking at this piece by piece, but they are making progress right now, so
yeah, it's a slow fight, but this is what this comp can do, is it can eventually put pressure and win out. The res came back in, but Yarlater's got no help, so it will go forward, but they need to keep going, and you know, Ultimate's online, they haven't committed anything. You have self-destruct out. I mean that's probably just to make sure they get the remake, but it's not quite as efficient as Grace Harbor was, but they are getting the value on it, so they might see B here quicker than we might have suspected.
Yeah, huge value coming in. Boo does come in with the tag visor, finishing off that fight. The question is, though, is it going to be close enough for them to get this point without Grace Harbor being able to contest?
There was someone there. They may just give this up.
I think they might give it up.
I think they'll give that up. Did they need to commit Visor for that? I mean, they kind of were already disengaging. It was cleanup kills, but you might have wanted that for EMP or Kitsune Rush here. I wonder if that's going to, down the line, backfire, because you might have to throw EMP, Kitsune Rush, and a Nano at something. Self-destruct up, though, to kick it off. Anything? Catches one. That's an opener.
Zabs. That's huge. That's huge. That's absolutely massive. The res will come in, though. So they're going to be back up to full strength, but crucially, WCU Black going to have, if they get a pick now, it's going to be permanent, right? Or at least for the next 30 seconds here. Only one ultimate expended so far, but Yarlator are able to find one. Gummy Bear comes in with a pick off of the EMP, though. Everybody low health, unable to do much about it. We do have the Valk in the air from Crunchy Leaf trying to dive in and find a res, but they get hacked, forced to back away. So WCU Black gets a lot of progress.
We were talking about the D.Va really coming in and making a difference here from Gummy, and that's what we have seen, is that this D.Va has been successful, has been able to dive and burst down, so they need to keep the pressure up, but there's going to be a recontest here.
Big Gravitic Flux from Zabs. They're going to get able to catch several people. Toasted Tofu just a little bit off on that protection. Suzu. But in the meantime, Gummy able to eat the Dragon Strike, so that opens things up for WCU Black. They're able to finish everybody off here, and they've got, I believe, with more time. Slower start than Crays Harbor, but at least at this point in the map, they've been a little bit quicker.
Yeah, they've kept it up, and I think after a couple maps and rounds of searching, they've finally gotten the answers they're looking for, because all these different distractions are really putting a lot of work. We're seeing Crays Harbor just kind of decide, all right, we're done playing around. We're done with our comfort picks. Let's roll with what is strong. Let's roll with what is good. And Tobias will fall dangerously, though, from that hack. Oh, but it does find slumped on the other side. That's unfortunate, because that's going to make this push a little bit harder going into this.
It is, but at this point, WCU Black can, to a large extent, bide their time, right? They're just going to back off here really quickly, get Boo back into the fight. They're not too far away, plus they got the legs.
Yep, they do. They also have EMP and self-destruct, so La Bambra is online. If they can hit it, it's going to be a little bit tougher to make work, but it's a win con if you can get it. So considering that Crays Harbor doesn't really have a lot to work with, they just need to hit this to make it, to keep this alive and going, and they'll find someone on the flank. And this is the focusing out I wanted to see. This is what I wanted to see. Making a 2 and 3v1 versus that Reaper is big.
Yeah, it certainly is. Gummy Bear allowing WCU Black to get some really good positioning here. They're going to go in now very deep. They find Rios in the end. They might be demech, but again, they've got that self-destruct. Looks like they weren't quite able to get it underway, though. But Boo is there for the cleanup. That is huge. And WCU Black, they're primed to cap with much more time than we saw with Crays Harbor.
They are, but they need to build this Kitsune Rush and this Nano up a little bit faster, because this last bit, is anybody going to be, I mean, there's going to be a touch, but there is also an overclock online, and it needs to come a big from Tobias here. And Tobias opening it up just like that.
Oh, that is huge. Yeah, taking Mr. Mango out of the equation right off the rip. Gummy Bear binds their mech once again, so they're going to just disengage. And Crays Harbor, they've staved off defeat at least for another moment.
Hey, all it takes is one juggle, and Tobias has been finding that one consistently. So Kitsune Rush and Nano coming online for WCU Black. They have the tools to kind of put it together. They just need to make sure they find the value, and there's that value looking for Tobias falling.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. I'm Slumped goes in for the hack on the front line, pushes them back a little bit, forces out the Immortality field as well. Right after that's gone, self-destruct goes in. It finds both supports. Both supports. This is over. It's just clean up now. They're going to cap. The question is just how fast can they get rid of these last few members here? They will finish with a bigger time bank as well compared to Crays.
Wow, there's the Kitsune Rush just to bring it off and celebrate. But yeah, great opening pick. Yeah, the Sombra turns out was what we were looking for the whole way through.
I questioned it.
Yeah, we all did. We've seen so much though, Juggle. Like, can you blame us? We've kind of seen everything, and at that point, the Sombra just kind of feels like, all right, let's just throw anything. Like, what haven't we tried yet? Well, we haven't tried Sombra, and sometimes it's it just takes a while to figure out what you're really looking for and what can really work. So sometimes it's the Sombra. You did just probably get through most of the season playing a lot of Sombra too, so that might have helped here. But regardless, Crays Harbor now has this first attack. We're probably going to see what we have seen out of them. There's no reason for them to change it. Zabitz might be the only wild card, but again, they just need to. The WCU just really needs to continue to enable Slumpbro to just find value again, and he's been winning these 1v1s. He's been able to find Tobias, get value, or hack Jar Leader out of the sky and get value on it. And that's what you need to continue to enable. Following that up with the Diva Dive or following those pieces together is just really the more important thing. And you know what? All things considered, we were questioning a lot of these comps coming into this, and even on paper, it still looks weird. But WCU is making it work, and I can't really say anything about that because they are making this comp look effective versus what they're seeing. Zabbix is going to pull out the Winston. First time we're seeing that. That's a little bit more to what we were expecting. They're going to try to get into the back line, maybe onto the Ana, and force more errors out of Mr. Mango a little bit here earlier, and I do like it.
Yeah, the one thing I do have to say, though, oh my gosh, slumped in immediately with the pick onto Rios. The res will be there, but this just means that, again, any picks that come through now are going to be permanent. Or at least semi-permanent. As permanent as they get in Overwatch. We're going to see a nice dive coming in from Yar later off the ceiling as Protection Suzu in. So Gummy Bear able to take out Yar later, but Tobias Max just frees them up to find value as well. Crunchy Leaf having to dive away, but they're getting protected well by their Winston. Now Tobias Max putting a lot of pressure again on Mr. Mango. They are done and dusted as well. Grace Harbor will move this around this first corner. They're getting close to overtime here.
Yeah, they'll keep the chaos going, and that's what Grace Harbor has been succeeding in, right? Creating the chaos, they're doing it with the Winston this time, but creating the chaos to really succeed in and find value in. And the Sombra really hasn't been able to do much, considering that they haven't been able to get a target hacked.
Yeah, they have been having a tougher time with it, right? And that's just going to be exacerbated by this Winston, right? And already Gummy Bear's out of the fight. Yar later able to pick off I'm Slumped. 2 key players gone. Not going to get any point presence from Mr. Mango, so this point will be Grace Harbor's.
Yep, they'll not be able to step off cart, but that's fine. The DPS are feeling hungry and aggressive, so they'll take the minute to regroup and get it together. I mean, the nano's there for WCU. You're probably going to give it to probably Bo, if I had to guess, just to try to get that, or maybe even to the Kiriko to try to build Suzu, to build a Kitsune Rush later. But all these ultimates for Grace Harbor, full support ultimates, means they're going to have a much longer sustain going into this fight. So an early pick and some aggression would be great on WCU's side here.
Let's see what they do with it. Mr. Mango has, like you said, that nano boost ready to go. Everybody getting in position now, including Yar later. Able to find one. They get slept out of the barrage, but they already found Boo. That was likely where that nano was going to go. Tobias and Max now with the overclock as well. We're going to get the self-destruct in, trying to clear point, and it does just that. WCU Black, they make everyone scurry with a self-destruct.
I mean, it's the ultimate space buy, right? You're going to die if you don't get out of the way, so... a good decision making. They were lucky that they were able to kind of have those ultimates online. It was just I don't want to call it lucky, but it was circumstantially in their favor. They just kind of had the pieces together to do it. They got the opening picks, and now there's a win condition. WCU Black not likely to just fall 0-3 and kind of have the rug pulled out from under them. So just keeping the Sombra in check was so much of Grace Harbor's plan there. Of just being able to create the chaos and then just not enabling the Sombra to get value. So we'll just see these comps kind of run it back. We're going to look to this Sigma this time again. And it's still kind of hard. Tobias is eyeing a couple different things. I kind of almost want to see Tobias back on the Hanzo. There's been so much raw value. You can kind of spot the Sombra out, but I guess just the headshot value, the rail value is so good on Sojourn. It's so hard to say no to that. But, I mean, 2 minutes to get to basically a little past A is really manageable. So WCU can, if this is going to be the point, it has to be now, right? This has to be it. They have to use this 2 minutes well, because otherwise they're done and they have to, like, they just go home. So it has to happen in 2 minutes here. Yeah,
this is WCU Black's final chance here. Their backs are against the wall. The only way they move forward to get to see the grand finals is a reverse sweep here against Grace Harbor Chokers. We've seen it happen once tonight. Will Lightning strike twice?
Ooh, that's a big opener, though.
That's a huge opener, yeah. Immortality Field does have to be used here by Grace Harbor, but I'm Slumped is going to take so long to get back into the fight. They should have time to get close, at least, to getting that back. And if they play safe during this intervening time, they should be able to get it.
They do have the angles here in this neutral, so they'll go.
Oh, wow.
And Tobias, Tobias has the angles. They can't really approach the Sigma to get value, so... Oh, wow.
Yeah, beautiful. Ooh. You know, I love seeing shots like that. You know, you see them, you know they don't see you, you take your time, you line up your shot, you take it. Right? That kind of patience is just so important. Yeah, it really, really is, especially for Sojourn. And
especially especially on these long range hit scan.
Yeah. And you were talking about the difference, I think, between the Hanzo and the Sojourn here. I think the Sojourn might have been a response to the Sombra, right? It provides a little bit more survivability compared to the Hanzo.
Ooh.
But Toasted Tofu gonna be able to find Zabs. Immortality Field comes out a little late to save their tank. Beautiful
great sleep
from Mr. Mango. That's gonna open things up. The res will come in, but WCU Black now, they've got momentum, they've got confidence, they're pushing forward, they're getting the picks, and they don't have too much further to go either. Right? Two more wins is all they need to stay alive and take us to a map 4 here, so
yeah, and Bo is going to continue to pick that up just to keep this going, but they also are at a point where they can't step off the cart, so just these last pieces are there. WCU does have pretty much all the tools they need, though. The question is there going to be a contest before A? Because they can force out this Kitsune Rush and the Nano early. That might work in their favor down the line, but I don't think there's going to be that juggle. No, they'll give that up for free. So Tobias needs to come up with something with Crunchy's support here. Just they need to get more value with his overclock than the Kitsune Rush gets on WCU Black. Otherwise, it's over. There's that opening pick again.
That's huge. That's huge. There's no res available. Yard later coming in with a barrage. They're going to find 2. Grays Harbor on the precipice here of victory. They get the resurrection as well. I'm slumped, bro, is down. The self-destruct. The self-destruct gets 2. They take out the immortality field as well. Gummy Bear, the hero that they need. WCU Black Boo trying to get on the point, but the picks come in. Mr. Mango desperately trying to get here, but they just can't. And Grays Harbor will go on to the grand finals.
Wow. Man, that was so swingy. Every moment there, every ultimate just got so much value on it, but unfortunately the respawns just never came in fast enough. And wow. Just unfortunate they weren't really able to get Kitsune Rush out in time. Again, just a little bit of aggressive play might have made the difference. We'll never know, but that's just so unfortunate, just given how close that was. Just all things considered, how close it was. They were looking so strong. They finally had the answer. They were ready there. But unfortunately, WCU falls 0-3, and their season is done here, Juggle. So we'll see Grays Harbor going on to the grand finals. The number 3 seed versus the number 1. I don't know if I had that on the cards today, but but it was quite a match to see play out.
It really, really was. And especially, right, considering just the history of these teams, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about it so many times, but I mean, it bears repeating again right now. Grays Harbor, they were 0-3. They went 0-3 against WC Black the last time they saw them. So just phenomenal work that this team has done to be able to come back, make it this far in the playoffs, beat WC Black, and punch their ticket to the grand finals. I mean, that is just spectacular for this squad here today. They've been able to shake a lot of demons off their back here today with this win.
Absolutely. And given that this is a younger squad like we were talking about, right? This is mostly freshmen, sophomores. This is a team that you'll see down the line too. This will only improve. They'll only continue to kind of work their team play a little better, and just continue to grow. So even going forward, you kind of need to be aware of that. And I think if you are that number 1 seed and you're playing the grand finals, you got to go back and watch the feed. You got to put in the exact amount of work that they put in to get here, because they clearly have shown that they wanted to get to those grand finals and play for the finals. And you need to match that energy when you see them.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Absolutely do. So, we're going to be just about done here for the night, waiting to see if we're going to get an interview in here for this last match. But, I mean, what a day of Overwatch we had, right? We had 2 5-gamers. And then this one, which was just, again, so exciting about, just the story of these 2 teams and what they've seen so far and what it's taken for them to both get here today. So a big congratulations to the Grays Harbor Chokers. Fortunate enough to watch them a couple times this season, so happy to get to see them and get to cast them again, just see this continued improvement from this squad. But they will be taking on NAU in the grand finals, and that's no small order. Like you said, the number 1 seed.
Yeah. I mean, NAU has looked good this season. They're obviously the number 1 seed for a reason. They 3-0'd pretty much everybody along the way here.
Yeah.
They also, I believe, NAU beat them 0-3. So had to get, So it looks like this could be, another David versus Goliath situation here. But it's very interesting because the Chokers clearly show they're willing to step up. I think of all the games you might even consider checking in on, this has to be one that you just keep an eye out for, because there is definitely no predicting what's going to happen when these two teams play.
No, this is a new Grace Harbor Chokers, right? I think, a lot of what we've seen historically now, especially that we saw, right? WCU Black get 3-0 today, right? Having previously 3-0'd them. I don't think you can look back and use much of what's happened in the past as a predictor, right? Because this is a new team, right? They're showing a lot of stuff we haven't seen before, and so this is exciting. I think they've got a real shot in the grand finals, but we're going to throw it to a quick break. Right after that, we'll have an interview for you. Don't go anywhere.